William James, the philosopher, he wanted to make a point about these tendencies. Our tendencies or the vrittis and vasanas are so deep that almost we cannot do anything about it. It just keeps coming out one after another after another. So he said he was sitting with his friend and a retired soldier was passing by carrying some groceries in his hands, and all of a sudden William James says, "Attention!" So the guy just dropped everything and all his bottles and everything broke down and all that. The guy was so angry. He says, "Why did you do that?" He says, "Well, I just said attention. Why did you have to do it?" He says that responding to the call of attention is so deep-seated in my mind, I couldn't help it.
Right.
I just couldn't help it. He was a retired guy. He had nothing to do with attention, doing the marches in the armies or nothing, but he did it anyway. He says, it is so deep-rooted that even after, if I die, my dead body is sitting there and somebody comes at attention, I'm going to stand up, So that's how the vrittis and vasanas are controlling us. And you don't have to do anything about it. Vrittis and vasanas are like weeds. They grow anywhere. And you don't have to, people might say that, Osho gives a very good example. He says that you have not achieved anything in life. And you might argue that, oh no, I have made all this money, I have made this fame, I have made this big beautiful house and this and that. He says you are just practicing your vrittis and vasanas. You are just responding to the deepest calls that you have within your mind, but you have not gone beyond the mind. He says, but I worked all this time and all that. He says, believe me, this is what vrittis and vasanas are about. Even if you had not done anything, it would have compelled you to do all these things. Everybody does in this world just basically respond to that inner calls of vrittis and vasanas. And all you are doing is responding to that, accumulating things and dying. You have not done anything. Anything spiritually, anything uplifting you have not done. He gave an example of Mullah Nasruddin. So his neighbor was trying to grow the flowers. He put some seeds and the plants started coming out. But along with that, a lot of weeds also started coming out. So now the neighbor got puzzled. He asked Mullah Nasruddin, he says, what do I do now? It looks like all the plants look the same. What is the weed and what is the flower? So Mullah Nasruddin gave a very good philosophical answer. He says, take out everything. Whatever grows by itself is weeds. Where you have to make an effort to grow is the flower. So that's what life is about. Things are just happening. We are letting our vrittis and vasanas control ourselves and responding to that and keep doing it. It's nothing new. And we have been doing it for thousands of lives. Our generations have generation. We're going to keep doing this again and again. Where you have to make some efforts to make a change in life is the real flower deal. So vasanas make you very stiff, very rigid and very predictable. I know exactly which drink you like before I invite you, and I make sure I keep it ready for you. It's like predictability.
Right.
Fine, no problem, it's socializing, I understand that, but that's a predictability. And that predictability is something wrong because consciousness is not predictable. The knowing the unknowable makes you unpredictable. It does not make you, whether you want to be unpredictable, that's not the point. But that's how it is. Consciousness roams free. It's free from vrittis and vasanas. Your responses are coming from deep beyond your mind, beyond your intelligence, and it's the expression of God or Paramatma. You will do whatever that no one can predict. You will be responding. You don't exist. At that point, your ego does not exist even. You have already surrendered to the Almighty God, and Almighty God operates through you. You become like a flute. He plays the music through you. You are not the music. You are not the flute player. You are just the hollow flute through which he's playing and you're just responding to it. So, going through the vasanas and vrittis, you don't want to fight it. Fighting is another vritti and vasana that you're creating. You have to learn how to observe the vasanas. Being an observer through the meditation is the only way to really understand and then go beyond the vrittis and vasanas. There is a story of three yogis, when they were really practicing dhyan and meditations and they were really getting a lot of spiritual upliftment. So it's a story. So Indra, sitting in the heaven, started getting worried. He says, what's going to happen now if these become very powerful? He's going to come and challenge my throne. And so he decided to send Urvashi. Urvashi is a typical dancer which can play and right in front of you and can try to lure you and see if you have any vritti or vasana hidden within to find out whether you are really spiritually uplifted or not. So it took almost a week for Urvashi to get ready to perform a dance in front of them. And that's typical how most of the ladies take several hours to the makeup and this and that. So she did it and then started performing a dance. And while performing a dance, the first Muni, first yogi, could not handle it, and he started becoming very uneasy, looking at a beautiful Apsara dancing in front of them, and so he started looking around, started becoming very uncomfortable. So he asked the other two, his friends, "What do I do now?" So they said, "Just close your eye, and that hopefully will just pass." Now, obviously, the inner vritti or vasana was playing the role on him. He had not superseded himself beyond that. So he says, close your eyes. Closing your eyes creates better pictures because that's under your control. Outside is the reality. Closing your eyes, your dreams are always better than the realities. Whatever we cannot fulfill in the real world, you can do that with the eyes closed. So that was his escape. Now he's done. So now Indra does not have to worry about him. So now the second guys and the third guy, they're trying and trying and trying. Urvashi is trying to remove her clothes, and ultimately the second guy also falls, becomes a victim, and he also cannot handle. So the third guy says, close your eyes, that's all you can do. And Urvashi said, no, I'm not going to close my eyes. So he starts running away. Either way, it's obvious that his vrittis and vasanas were still holding him so tight. So now the dance goes on, and Urvashi is dancing for the third guy now. And the third guy does not run away, does not close his eyes. And Urvashi is getting tired. And Urvashi says, nothing is happening to you? He says, no, I want to see what you really are. He started running after Urvashi. Urvashi started going back to Indra. He says, this is a unique guy who is not really getting attracted to me. And he keeps on saying that I want to know you. What is beyond your skin? What is beyond your eyes? What is this? What are you made up of? What are your, ultimately deep inside, I'm going to find muscles and the bones and the nerves, which I'm going to find anywhere. Yes. Whatever you have is only superficial. It is an illusion that I'm seeing right now. I want to know the real truth. That's how our vrittis and vasanas are. Until you come face to face with them and analyze them and find out what they're doing for you or what they're doing against you, either way, until we are ready to observe the vrittis and vasanas, you're not going to supersede them. You're not going to be beyond the vrittis and vasanas. So the way to handle the life is to face it head first and analyze what it is. And then vrittis and vasanas start losing their power. Ultimately, they cannot do anything because vrittis and vasanas are created by ego, your own desires, your own identification with yourself. Ego is false. Ego comes from nowhere. You don't know where the ego came from. The reality is the unknowable. Unknowable is the ultimate infinite consciousness that is shining from within you. But until you have that to compare with vrittis and vasanas, you cannot see the difference. So meditation takes you into that deeper zone where you actually experience the consciousness. When you realize the consciousness, you realize the continuous changing nature of vrittis and vasanas. Your life, your body, your friends, your love, your hatreds, all these things have temporary existences. But temporary is temporary only if you know something permanent. Only once you come in contact with permanent, then all the things that have a lure on you to attract you or make you hate, all these things become meaningless. So we have to go in that direction. then only we're gonna see. So whatever vrittis and vasanas are doing to you, ask yourself, are they only beautiful superficially and they